everyone, hope everyone's doing absolutely great. Today I'm here to talk about a very exciting topic. It's very exciting for me personally because it is something which I do on a daily basis and it's my job, and that is event planning. Event planning is an important area of marketing. So basically, what I personally do is I plan and organize different events. It could be it could be on a smaller scale with lesser budget, but it also could be very big events. Which cost several million pounds. So it's just so different, and so basically the work which goes behind, depending on the scale of the event, is very different. But having said that, there is few things which is standard and which we need to follow irrespective of the size of the event. And so that's exactly what I'm going to talk about, and I hope this video would be helpful for anybody who wants to get into events. I think I couldn't think of a better person doing this video because I do events. I do a lot of events and I love it. So if you're somebody who is interested in stakeholder management, who loves talking to people, who's organized, you need to be extremely organized as an event planner, and you should be very detail oriented. You also need to be able to manage different people. You should be able to negotiate. You should be able to you know be calm and have a plan B. Like, okay, there are a lot of times when things don't work out, but the idea is to not get into panic mode and always have a quick fix. That's exactly what a good event planner does. So if you think you have these qualities, then I think a career in event planning would be very enjoyable. It's very exciting, and it's lavish. Yeah, I love that. So I personally prefer to talk to people. I would always consider myself to not be at the back end, in front of the desk. Rather, I think I consider myself in a job where I get to talk to people. And so it's exactly what you want or what you like. And if you think you are catered for this kind of role, then just go for it and have fun in your role. Okay, so let's get started. Now, for any event, okay, if you want to like plan or organize an event, it's very important to understand the purpose of the event. Now, why is an event, like, why do we have an event? Now, events can be of different types. Okay, it could be like a celebration event where you're celebrating something, the success of something, or it could be something like a brand launch, or it could be like an upgrade in your existing brand. It could be different kinds of things. So it's very important to understand the purpose of the event. And say, for example, your marketing team wants to plan an event, and they've told you some things and they've given you the brief, and it's important that whatever event or the theme you planned around the event should align with the vision and mission of the team. Like, they would have a certain purpose. Like, for every event you want to like send across a message. Like, you spend money, you do a lot of branding, there is a purpose. Like, there's a message which needs to come across. So basically, you need to plan your event in such a way that you're aligned with the mission and vision of the team members. I hope I make sense. Yeah, so that's something which is very crucial. And of course, the audience you're catering to. So it's very important to know who's the audience who's coming for your event. So if it's like a very higher management event, the planning, the whole setup, everything goes very different compared to something which you're planning for the whole office. It's very different. It depends on who you're catering to, the kind of people you're catering to. So it's very important. So main thing is, before you do any kind of like planning, it's very important to know the purpose of the event and the audience, because then once I know the purpose of the event, I can plan a theme around the purpose of the event. So basically the theme would be depending on the audience, and I create that theme, and that should align with the purpose. And also every like small detail when it comes to like all kinds of branding, the way the arrangements are made, the colors which I use for any kind of arrangements or the backdrop or whatever I'm doing, it needs to be aligned with the purpose of the event. So I make sure that I do not mismatch or do something else. Everything is perfect, so it needs to be like that. So that is very very important when you plan it, right? Okay, now how to create and manage an event. Okay, so the main thing, so somebody tells me, okay, so my boss comes to me and tells me that, okay, Samana, you need to like do this event, la la la. He gives me the brief, and the first question for me, like after I know the purpose and obviously the audience, my first question to him would be, what is the budget? Like, do we have a budget for this? Because everything is around the budget. Now I may be planning something very big, but then if we do not have the money for it, there is no, it doesn't make sense for me to plan something big, you know what I mean? So it's very important to know the budget, so that depending on the budget I can plan my event accordingly, right? So basically it's very important to know the budget. So that's the first things first. Okay, budget. Now budget, now there are like few areas in event planning where you spend or which consumes the most amount of money. So one is your event, like the venue and everything. Venue consumes the most amount of money, and that is like the most super critical part of any event. And then there is travel, like maybe the ground transportation, and sometimes it's if you're traveling to a different country for an event, the logistics, like the flight, airfare, everything needs to be planned. So that's where your costs go. Then there is obviously catering. The food and drinks have to be very good and again aligned to the theme of the event. And the fourth thing is technology, which is about the IT support, equipments, the power, the lights, sounds, all of that should be fine. So these are the four areas which consumes money, the broader four areas. And then obviously you'll have other things like branding, this and that. It depends on the kind of event you're doing, right? So it's all that. So but the main amount or the cost, like this is where the consumption happens. Okay, the where maximum money is consumed. Yeah, now once I have the budget from my boss, I need to negotiate. So so it can be two things. So for smaller events I directly work with vendors and then I talk to them directly. But then certain times when it's like, you know, it's several million pounds, that and it's like really really large, like a very very large scale event, that is when something which I cannot manage by myself. So that's when we work with agencies who manage everything for us, but then we have to tell them everything exactly what we want, and they do the execution part. So basically what I would do is I would tell them, you know what, I have this event on so and so date, this is the timings we're looking at. Or if it's a 2-3 day event, I'll tell them. And basically, or sometimes maybe, okay, I'm looking for a retreat kind of thing, or maybe I'm looking for a branding event, so I would need a bigger space. This is the maximum capacity of people who would or a hall which could hold a capacity of say 300 people or 3000, whatever the number of people are. And then I will tell them this is the purpose, like we have a theme, and this is the reason why we are celebrating this event. You know, they need to know so that they plan ideas according to that. And then I will also tell them that then give them the budget, and then I'll tell them that this is what we're looking at. So if it's something very very big, so I want a big board party, so that's a different kind of thing. I will tell them that maybe give me a few options for board parties. If I ask them for, I need like a Michelin star setup, I need like dancers, I need performances, so I need to like tell them everything, and then they will come back to me in 48 hours with like 2 3 4 options, not too much because then I'll get confused. 2 3 options, and then we will negotiate. So once they tell me this, oh, and we're going, I'll be like, no, can we cut down the cost on this? No, let's just skip this is not needed, maybe we don't need this extra thing. So you should negotiate with them and, you know, try and make so that you always cut down, because sometimes cost we go overboard. So later, sometimes what happens is after the event, somebody has like extra drinks and everything, so sometimes you go excess. You want to make sure that you're not overboard. So you want to like, um if it's 500,000 pounds, so make sure that you don't give them the budget of exactly 500,000 pounds. You give them something lower than that, so that even though it exceeds, you are not crossing the, you're not crossing the budget. So that's the whole idea. So you have to be able to, you have to have very good negotiating skills, at the same time very good convincing skills as well. Yeah. Next important thing is selecting a venue. Now, this is the most important thing. Now, any event, it's very important to have a good venue. So whoever is asking you to organize that event, like, consult with them and ask them if they're ready to travel. How is the commute? Are they able to like travel a certain distance? Because some people will be like, Smana, it should be not more than like 5 kilometers. Like it has to be in the vicinity of the office. Some people are like, let's do it somewhere very far. Let's do a different country. So it depends upon the team, like if they're okay with it. So you have to always consult the team before you select a venue. And then whatever ideas you have about the venue, you should always discuss it with the team who wants it, so that everyone's aligned and on the same page. Yeah. So it's very important. The location is very important. You want to select the appropriate location and which matches with the vibe of the audience, basically. So if it's like really higher management of a company, I wouldn't take them to anything less than a Michelin star, or I wouldn't take them to anything less than like a 7-star party venue. It's like that. It depends on the audience. If it's a younger crowd, then I would take them for like maybe a fun event followed by drinks. So it's all depends on the audience. Okay, so you have to always consult the team organizers for the location. Yeah, basically. And also, when you work with the agency or the vendor directly, it's important that all the resources are available in house itself. So basically, if I'm planning a conference, say for example at a particular hotel, it's important that they have everything else, like catering is available there. There is like enough IT support in house. There is there is probably, I'm planning a team building or something, so there is something which they've already, they can cater that my needs. So basically, if everything is available in house or happening at one place, it's easier to plan, rather than me talking to like 10 different vendors for 10 different things for one single event. It creates a lot of confusion and hassles. Rather, I would talk to one person and I'll be like, guys, you deal with it, this is what it is, this is the plan, this is the timing, and then it's easier, right? And uh, tips for doing research to find a good venue. So if you have like 2-3 venues at hand, and you're like super confused, oh my god, what do I select, they all look very similar, then you go with the Google reviews. I wouldn't say the ones which are the public reviews, basically the customer reviews. See what they say about the place and see the photos what the customer put up, customers click and post, because the ones which are on the website can be deceptive, because they always obviously would put the best pictures, but the ones which customers put, that's very important. See it. And it's always like super critical to actually go and visit the venue. Please do not assume that the venue can be good, because sometimes when you go and see the venue, it turns out to be very different and probably not something which you would want. Like so sometimes it's like, it's as simple as the lighting. Maybe they don't have the lighting you're looking at. Maybe I want yellow lights, but they have like really really dim lights. Or it's the flowers, maybe I want lavender, they probably don't have that. So it's the smaller things, but everything matters. Or they don't have, like, maybe you need a washroom at this in the same floor, like there needs to be a cloakroom and everything, very easily accessible. So all of these things need to be there. And I would obviously want to visit the venue. Like, they might just say, oh yeah, we have everything, but then later when I go and see, it's on different levels and it's far from each other, it doesn't make sense. So it's very important to go see the venue for sure, and then finalize it like after seeing the venue. Yeah. Next is food and beverage. This is like very very integral part of any event, the food needs to be like, sometimes if it's like, say everyone's just chilling in the office, you're watching a football game, then you're like just doing beers and snacks and all of that. But if it's like a really really big scale event, like if it's an event going from morning till late in the evening, and then you have a dinner plan, then you have to plan properly. You have to plan like a breakfast, and then you have to plan breaks, like a morning 10-minute break, then you have lunch, then you have another 10-minute break or in the afternoon, like say at 3 or half 3, and then later they break at 5 o'clock, and then you might have to go to another venue for dinner, and everything needs to be planned. So food and beverage and the breaks for it, everything needs to be planned really well. The food, the menu selection is super critical. So what is the audience, what is the kind of audience, very important to see if they have any dietary needs, do they have allergies. It's very very important to know what you are doing. It's very important to always check, just in general. I think it's a basic, whenever you're planning or hosting something, it's very important to understand if they have any dietary needs, because it's very critical. Yeah, you don't want somebody to fall ill after the event. And like in the UK culture, especially in the industry I work with, there's a lot of like importance given to drinks, and making sure we have enough alcohol in all of the events, and a variety of drinks. Food is an integral part as well, so it's very important to have veg or non-vegetarian options, etc. And so it's very important to plan the menu well in advance. Talk to the agency or the caterers or the chefs, tell them, for bigger events, we also have the food tasting thing going on, where we do the food tasting like a week prior to the main event or 2 weeks prior, where we check like, okay, the food's fine, like we give a green signal. So all of that happens. So it's very important that the food is fine, because people are not happy when the stomach's not happy. So that's important. Next comes the technology, very very super critical, because everything is about presentations and people talking. The microphone needs to work, so the power is very important. Internet, like the Wi-Fi, needs to work fine. There has to be somebody who is on site whenever like we're going to a new place, so they should make sure that everybody can get their mobiles and their laptops easily connected to the internet. Like that should be very very simple. Just provide the password and everything, and everybody should be able to connect easily. So that's all. It's very simple, but it's very important, because sometimes that causes disruption and it causes delay, and that's not good. The lighting and sound is very important. The right lights. If it's a day event, we need natural light. If it's available, that's great. It's very important. The room needs to be very well lit. It's an evening event, it needs to be lit very well depending on the vibe of the event. Sound system needs to be fine, and on-site support needs to be there at any event, irrespective of anything. And any sort of, we need to try and work that any sort of technology meltdown doesn't happen. And if it does, what is the backup? Like, is there a plan B? Like sometimes, if the projector goes off, what happens? Do you have a backup TV, or do we have anything else? Or stuff like that. Do we have a written material if something is not fine, if the internet doesn't work? So every time you need to have a plan B. I would say plan B, C. Yeah, so it's very important. Next is gifts. For most events, we also plan gifts to be given to the audiences. It depends on who the audience is. Again, if it's like a very big, large scale event, it depends. The gift, you just don't choose a gift. Like, it's not like, okay, I'm going to give vouchers or anything. That's exactly why in my own personal life, I'm very thoughtful whenever I give gifts to anyone. It needs to be very well, it needs to resonate with the audience you're giving the gift to. It needs to be, sometimes it's like, if it's like really really higher management, we get very very creative when it comes to gift. Sometimes I believe in personalization, in more customized approach. That way, you have a personal touch when you give the gifts. So it's very important. Now again, gifts depends on the budget. If you have the budget for the gifts, then you can do as much as you can. If you have a lot of budget, you can go all out. Yeah. Next is transportation. If it's happening within your city, the only transportation I'm talking about here is ground transportation. It's very, very important from point A to point B. That's maybe from office to the venue. You have to have like taxis, everything arranged. What time? What's the ETA of the car? Like what time is it going to arrive? I would suggest to work with reliable agencies, because sometimes they can go wrong, so it's always safe to work with reliable agencies so that everything is on time. So, and making sure that they arrive on time, making sure that they leave on time, making sure like the audience who's attending it knows about it. So if it's like a very big event, I book a coach. If it's like for smaller events, then there are like taxis, like very premium taxis booked depending on the audience. If it's like basically I work with if I work with like the higher management, then it's always premium services. So making sure everything is fine and yeah, available for like just there. Yeah. And if somebody is traveling, maybe they're coming from a different country at the airport, making sure like there's somebody uh, who will be there to pick them up, and the person who is arriving also knows about it. So everything needs to be communicated at least 48 hours prior to their arrival time, basically. Yeah. And timelines now, 2 weeks before any event, that has to be your final check. Now, if it's a very big event, as I said, some events are planned for years, like more than a year, also 6 months. But before 2 weeks before the event, you need to have everything finalized, like finalizing everything with the vendors or the agencies. So for me personally, I talk to them like if it's a month before the event, I talk to them like every single day. Like I follow up. If there's something not happening, I'll be like follow up. Sometimes there are last minute cancellations, so you need to be like, oh my god, what's going to happen now? So you have to have a final check, whatever final payments you need to make, finish all of that, see that everything is up to date, see the branding side. Okay, the marketing team wants a certain branding for the event. Is everything, all the promotional materials there, is everything intact? You need to plan everything. Day of the event, you need to have like, so I personally use a production schedule. So basically what that means is you need to have like an Excel on which is like a spreadsheet, or it could be like a not handwritten. You can take a printout of that and you can give it to everyone. So basically that will have the entire agenda, like what's going to happen, what time it starts, who's responsible for what, who's going to be present in that, the number of attendees, what time is the break, what time, the whole like an agenda for the event is printed, and any changes is updated on the sheet, and everybody, it's shared with everyone who's working on that event, so that everyone's aware. So suddenly if they say that okay, lunch break has been moved because everyone's running late, so everyone knows about it and it's been communicated. I also make sure that there is a Teams group where everyone knows about it, and if there's certain change, so we all know what's happening. Yeah. Now it they could be it's challenging. It's a challenging job because there are changes every minute. There are changes, so it's very important to be very calm. Especially in my job, it's very important for me to be calm and be patient. It's a one of the key qualities important for a marketing event planner. So there could be situations where like, okay, maybe you ordered breakfast and it's not arrived, and there's just like 45 minutes left. What do I do? So that exactly happened in an event which we planned last month, and we had like visitors from abroad, and then I was like, what? No, I went and I purchased like quickly in my business park. There was just one place open. I went there and purchased everything, whatever juices, and ordered again from another place, and then it was just like very, very fast, because that place which I ordered again from did not have like juices, like beverages. So I went and got it, and I quickly got back, did the same, everything was fine. So it's important to like have your presence of mind and start finding to do something else. Same way, like if there are like it's a if the power goes off, if the internet goes off or the presentation just doesn't work, what do? You just firstly send a message saying that, what, there's a there is a problem, there's a power failure, it would take like a few 15 to 20 minutes to come back. You don't know the time, so you don't mention that. But then what you do is you can plan to have some, maybe they have like some breaks, you can prepone the breaks, or you can use, if they have like a team building exercise which does not need PowerPoint, maybe you can prepone that and then have the presentation presented later. You need to have that presence of mind and make sure you just switch between things and making sure that nothing is disrupted, because otherwise people will go crazy like, oh, power gone, okay, there's nothing we can do about it. No, you can always prepone the breaks. You can say, okay, now we're having this a 10-minute break, everyone's breaking, and then you come back and then we start with the team building activity. So that's how you create it, so that nothing is interrupted, and then once the power comes back, everything is back to normal. So that's very important. And yeah, it's simple, but it's all about presence of mind. Now that's everything about the event. Hopefully, if you follow all these steps, the event would be executed well. And then post event, everyone's happy. Like usually the boss sends an appreciation post, say that I'm very happy with all of this, and then you say thank you, and then you also send a thank you note for everyone, saying that thank you for attending this, hope you had fun. And then you can also go 1 mile ahead and send them a survey and asking them basic things about how they liked the event, any areas of improvement, so that next time you plan something, it's easier for you to do it. Yeah, so it's all about improvement. Like, no one's perfect and nothing is perfect, so you need to keep working on yourself and making sure that the next one's better than the previous one. Yeah, I hope this video is helpful. I'm sure it's a bit long, but I hope it's very helpful. Thank you for watching my video, and if you have any questions, please let me know, and take care. Cheers, bye.